Don't ever think you have to discount your product, and don't ever think that you can't put your prices up, because that is you installing your limiting belief on what other people are willing to do. If you've got the solution to their problem and you need to put your prices up to stay afloat, put your prices up. Welcome to the Business Bloke podcast. Growing your business doesn't have to be hard. I am your host, Andrew Savage, a business and mindset coach with plenty of leadership tools and strategies to help you grow your life and business. Give yourself permission to get curious, lean in, and enjoy this episode. Hey, welcome to this strategy on how to grow your business. This is the third one in this series, and it's all about sales. I've entitled it Sales Suck, but not with this framework. And that's the thing. I hate selling. Selling is awkward. When I was a kid, we used to have plastics. I don't know if they had that in Australia over here, but back in NZ, plastic sales. We had plastics turn up to school, plastic bags, Glad wrap. I can't remember what else it was, but we used to get these things and take them home and have to sell them all around our neighbourhood. We were rural, so our neighbourhood, the doors were few and far between, but it was just awkward. Mum pulling up the driveway, son hopping out, knocking on the door and asking for money. And it's just a weird thought. And I've taken that with me throughout life, and I've always really struggled to ask for money. I know there are listeners who are like this. You get like the fun run thing going on, or the I'm going to swim a K this month, or whatever that might be. Or you get a book of raffle tickets. Hands up, who buys all the raffle tickets themselves, just so they don't have to go door knocking? Yeah, that's me. I'll just buy the whole book instead of doing that. But it's funny. Our kids teach us pretty good tricks. They seem to not have the same limiting belief. Trick or treating is another one. Oh my goodness. I just can't think of anything more embarrassing than knocking on people's doors and asking for lollies. But our kids haven't installed that fear into their hard drive just yet. So they seem to be able to get away with it. So there is fear around money, and that's true. I will actually have a guest on here about money mindset. But asking for money is scary. Maybe money is dirty to you, because we're told as a kid, like, yuck, don't put that in your mouth. That's disgusting, you know. Oh, it's been in someone else's wallet, someone else's home. What about drugs and suitcases full of money? Because we see that on our movies. Like, all the baddies have a suitcase full of cash, and that installs something in our mind as a kid. What about Scrooge McDuck and these characters in cartoons who are stingy but rich? So there are certain things that are actually built into us from these stories that gives us limiting beliefs. And I'm not talking about everyone, but it is something to be mindful of. So hopefully you've watched the previous episode, and that is about inviting your customers into a story for marketing. And sales is actually no different. What we have to do in our sales, in our conversations, maybe our emails, is starting with the problem and positioning your product as the bridge between the problem and the solution. So we tease out the problem and we give them the bridge, which is the plan, and then we give them the solution. We paint the stakes if they don't, paint the stakes if they do, and then we call them to action, ask for the money. So we have to assume the character of the customer is the hero, and we've got to remember that we, as the salespeople, are never the hero in their story. We are the guide. The hero is struggling to overcome a problem, and the guide, i.e. you, has already overcome that problem at some stage, giving you that authority and empathy. So Mr. Miyagi would be a good example, the Karate Kid, Daniel-san. Mr. Miyagi is obviously the guide, and Daniel-san is the hero. Mr. Miyagi helps Daniel-san overcome the problem of getting bullied, and he goes on to win the tournament, right? And it's the what's going to happen and how is this going to play out that keeps us enthralled in the story. And what happens if you play the hero in their story you actually remove yourself from the customer story because they're the hero, right? And you can't have two heroes. Imagine if Mr. Miyagi came in and won the tournament at the end and stole Daniel San's trophy. It would be a bit weird. So, yeah, you are the guide. The customer is the hero. So as the seller of your product, you might have an agri-tech product, agribusiness product, maybe you're in development stage. It is your role to show empathy and leverage your expertise. The fact that maybe you have a degree in something fancy is really of no interest to your agri client. The fact that you've been there and done that and have helped other people overcome that struggle and you've taken them from this place to a better place, or your product has the potential to take them from this place to that place, that is a story. You already have the competency because you're already on this journey. You only need to be 1 week ahead of someone to be ahead of someone, but you've got to show the empathy and you've got to tell, you can tell a part of your story, like the part where you've overcome a similar struggle, but don't make yourself the hero. So when we position ourselves as the guide and not the hero, we earn the respect and admiration of the people. And if you think about some movies that you've seen, then you always have some admiration or respect for the hero because, for the guide, because they are kind of like the hero in the background, but they don't take the limelight. So we really do respect them. So you use this following strategy as a plan to use in conversations, emails, and your sales material. Very similar to before. You paint the stakes of the problem. What's the problem? Will you struggle to employ staff? Or so your stock empty rate is too high? Or your soil fertility is poor? Paint your product as a solution. I have a spray to kill spiders. I have a device to help you detect open cows. I have a biological tool for your soil. It's as simple as that. Notice we're not saying, I have this awesome pump with my spider spray and it's hooked up to my BT50 and it operates at 50 PSI and rah, rah, rah. Or I have this device that, you put this thing in your cow and it's a collar thing and you do the collar up, and we've spent about $1 million on R&D for this thing and we've got investors from all over the world, etc. Yeah, the person who has the problem for that solution, they don't really care. They just want to know that you can detect the open cows. Well, you've got the solution. Same with soils. Don't go on about your company, your product, your history, what granddad invented back in the 1950s, because you're then starting to try and paint yourself as the hero. And then you give them a plan. You build your bridge between the problem and the solution. Call me now. Press buy now. Fill out this form and we will call you right away. It's really quite simple. If you make this process or the bridge too long and confusing, you'll lose your customers. So we then basically paint the states of life, what it's like now. So, do you want to live with your spiders? Or you can put up with having expensive empty animals or poor soil. Or, and here's where you frame the positive, I can come around and take care of that for you. It's pretty abridged version of a sales script, but it is that simple. And it's creating a sense of urgency. You say, hey, you want to stay stuck where you are, or if you call me, you can come on a journey with us. It creates a sense of urgency for them to cross the bridge. And then you just ask them to place an order. Bang your credit card details here. Pass me your credit card, I'll take the order. Here's your invoice, it's due in 7 days. It's as simple as asking for the money. I'd sort of be careful around strategies for discount. Be careful that the sales process, if you're bundling products or discounting, that it doesn't feel like trickery. I've been part of some advertisement campaigns in the ag space, and having been on the farmer side and then on the ag tech side, it just makes me cringe a little bit sometimes. Like, farmers aren't stupid, and they are very smart and astute business people. So just don't make it feel like trickery, because you will also undervalue your product. So, and also, got to think, is a free set of steak knives truly going to position you as the solution to their problem? If you have a real quality solution to a quality problem, the money is not going to be the objection. So just think, do I really have to discount or add something for free? I know that money isn't the objection because I ran my dog over recently, and anyone who has damaged or injured their animal and had to take it to the vet in the last decade knows how this story is going to go. So the dog was alive but injured. This dog was $300, right? $300 dog. And I know there's a lot of rural people who might relate to this, and there's some dog lovers that may think I'm mean, but a $300 dog, and we all have heard this conversation, if anything happens to him, a piece of copper at 3,000 feet per second is only 20 cents, whatever it might be. But when said $300 dog becomes a part of your family arrangement, and the kids fall in love with the dog and they see him and he wags his tail when they come home from school, the stakes change a little bit, right? And the dog went to the vet and they said, this dog is going to cost you maybe $3,000 to fix. And I was like, oh dear, this is a challenge. Yeah, no, I can probably get away with this. Go ahead, do what you need to do. Got a phone call about an hour later. Hey, we've had a look at your dog. I'm afraid it's worse than we thought. It's going to be like $7,500. So, oh geez. Yeah. Okay. Before I thought I was going to get away without actually telling anyone about what had happened, the dog had fallen off the back of my truck. But yeah, $7,500. I've got a bit of a dilemma here. The options were euthanize, amputate, or some sort of surgery. So I had a bit of a conflict with the family. I had to come clean and tell them that the dog had actually, he was tied on, but he had slipped off the side of the truck and his leg went under the back wheel. We decided that we'd just give it a crack. It was the kids found out, and it just was like, there was too much emotion involved. Oh my God, just have a go. So we did. Turns out they got in there and it wasn't as bad as they thought. And they said, oh, hey, that was a relief. It was only $3,000. So we actually started to feel quite good about the $3,000. So we'd gone from a $300 dog that was only ever going to be put down by firearm to a $3,000 dog that we were happy it was only $3,000 because it was nearly $7,000. So I can tell you, when push comes to shove and you've got a real problem on your hands, money goes out the window. If you really, really want something, you'll pay for it. And we've seen that in our own lives. So don't ever think you have to discount your product, and don't ever think that you can't put your prices up, because that is you installing your limiting belief on what other people are willing to do. If you've got the solution to their problem and you need to put your prices up to stay afloat, put your prices up. And if you have a problem with that, connect with me and we can talk about how we can overcome those limitations. So I hope you got some use out of that episode all around sales and sales conversations. There is a lot of mindset in this as well, and also just this framework to try and simplify things. But when push comes to shove, don't talk about your company. Don't talk about your granddad's secret recipes. Just position yourself as a solution to someone's problem and think about the bridge and how to get them there. This framework is actually in a program called Business Made Simple. I am a certified Business Made Simple coach. I'm going to drop a 7-day free trial, and no, this isn't the tricky that I talked about, but if you jump in there and do a 7-day free trial, I'm pretty sure you do have to put your credit card details in that somewhere. You fill out your details, credit card, but you don't actually get charged for it. And it's called, the framework you would look for if you did that is called The Customer is the Hero. I'll drop a link to that in the show notes. If you want to connect with me, Andrew Savage, I'm on Instagram, that business bloke with underscores in between. I'm on LinkedIn, Andrew Savage. I'd love to hear from you. And I am going to carry on this series. The next one, I think, is products and how to analyze and look for products that you want to sell, or make sure you're selling products that make you money. It's great to have you on board, and we'll catch you for the next short episode. If you've got this far, you've reached the end of the episode, or you've left your car running. I really hope you got something out of this episode of the Business Bloke podcast, and maybe you've got something to take away to apply to your own business. I'm a pretty friendly bloke, so you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Just look up Andrew Savage, or on Instagram. The handle is The Business Bloke. Thanks for listening. Reach out, and we'll catch up with you soon. Good one. Cheers.